Hello and welcome to this short craft with me video. Today I'm going to make some small journals, mini journals, using some wallpaper and some handmade paper scraps that I've had for years actually in storage, and I thought I'd use them and make some mini journals. So first of all, I'm going to take some white card to make the kind of inside of the cover. So this is going to be sandwiched in between two pieces of the wallpaper to make the cover of the journal. So I made the actual journal cover 28 centimeters by 14 centimeters. So the finished journal folded will be a square, 14 by 14. And of course the signature pages are going to be a little bit smaller than that. So I'm going to quickly cut here two covers just to show you. I'm just cutting obviously with a knife, you can cut with scissors, whatever, but just cut the insert to size. And I'm just using a 90 GSM card. I don't want the cover very stiff. I want it fairly flexible. So this is the cover, the wallpaper I'm going to use for the outer cover. It's a beautiful piece of wallpaper from a sample book, an old sample book, which I got from a local wallpaper shop. Quite often they have, when their designs are discontinued, they can't use the sample books anymore, so they just throw them away. So it's worthwhile just nipping into your store. I'm using Fabri-Tac to glue the white piece of card onto the back of the wallpaper piece. Fabri-Tac is a non-water based glue, and if you're gluing larger pieces of paper and card together, I find it better because there's no wrinkling at all, and this is a quick drying glue as well. So as soon as you put that down, it dries fairly quickly. So I've given that a good liberal coating on the back of there, and I'm going to stick it onto the back of the wallpaper, piece of wallpaper. This wallpaper is a fairly thickish paper, and the great thing about, of course, wallpaper is that it's wipeable. So if you do get it wet or mark the cover, you can easily wipe it. So that's another good advantage. So I'm just trimming now around the white piece of card, about 1 centimetre all the way round the insert piece. And then we are going to fold the piece in a second, but just before we do that, we're going to cut the corners, and I just cut it at an angle about a couple of millimeters away from the corner itself, and then another sharp, just turn the scissor and another sharp angle, so it's not a straight line straight across, so it is a sharper gradient angle, and then you don't also get the white corners showing through either. So once we've done that, we'll just fold it over in half so that we can find the sort of center fold, and we'll just press that down. And then I'm just going to cut a very thin slither of a triangle off the middle of the spine here, so that when the cover is folded, there's not that sort of bulky double layer in the fold there. So it's just a very thin slither is needed. You can cut away a little bit more if you want, but just need a slither. You don't want to cut too much away, otherwise you'll have the white of the card showing through. So once we have trimmed the corners, we are then of course ready to glue down those edges. So again, I'm using my Fabri-Tac, and I'm just going to quickly glue those edges all down. So I hope you guys are having a great week, and we've just finished not so long ago, had a lovely long weekend, so I managed to do lots of journaling. I did some reorganising in my craft studio as well, which is when I found all this wonderful homemade paper that I forgot that I had, so I decided to use that to make these mini journals. So I've cut all of those big sheets of handmade paper that I had into the pages for this mini journal. And I've I've varied the papers so they're not all one kind of paper. I've used some craft paper, I've used some black paper, I've used some watercolour paper, but just to sort of vary the pages and make it a little bit more interesting. So we're just finishing up the edges now, and then and once that's done and finished, we can then adhere the inner cover, which is part of the same wallpaper sample book, and it was a matching plain wallpaper that went with this lovely leaf patterned paper. So we're going to take that and cut, just make sure that that's all glued down nicely, and then we're ready to put the inside cover in. The great other thing is the paper is quite flexible as well, and they're great for making covers like this for journals or even books, because it's got that little bit of give to it. And of course I didn't use the thick inner card either, so it's going to remain quite nice and flexible. So we're now ready to put the inside in, and as I said, we're going to use this dark green, which goes and matches with the outer cover pattern. So we're going to cut this piece a 1/2 centimetre less than the outer cover, the inner cover that we did. So we're just going to make that 13.5, and so we'll then have a sort of 1/4 centimetre all the way around the inside piece, so we can just see a little bit of the outer cover on the inside as well. So we'll just measure that, pencil it, draw it in. I find it easier just to draw the actual dimension, draw the shape, and then just cut it with a scissor. You could do it, I suppose, using your grid cutting mat or just with a knife, but I just prefer to do these things. Draw the shape in, then I find it's more accurate, and cut it out with scissors. Okay, so that's ready. So I'm just going to use the Fabri-Tac again to adhere the glue. As I said, it's much better to use this kind of glue because you don't get the wrinkling, especially when you're sticking down big pieces. It's not going to bore you with all the glue. Fast forward there, and then we just place that in the centre there, making sure that we've got that 1/4 centimetre all the way round. So we press that down. I'm just going to use my bone folder just to make sure that the glue is right into that fold, and then we flatten it out again. I'll just add the crease in again just to make sure that the glue is nicely sticking there. I don't want that coming away at the fold. Okay, so that's looking really nice, it's feeling really nice, and we're ready for adding the signature. So these are I've done 8 pages or 8 sheets of paper that create 32 pages in total. So that will do me for a great month challenge with Helen, and I love the way the signature paper just sticks out of the edge. I really like that. So I've done another one with the same sort of pattern but in blues, and then I got a plain blue and did a lighter blue in the inside. So that's some of the variations. I've done some more which I'll show you at the end as well. So we're now ready to stitch in the signature page into the cover. So I use, you can use any old thick kind of book. Telephone directory would be perfect, but this is just a colouring book that I have, and I use this just to open it up in the middle, and then we put the folded notebook or journal into the valley of the book, so to speak. And then you make sure that you get all of the folds of the pages in the cover all nicely lined up. And then I use a dowel to punch through, right through all the pages and the cover, and I make 3 holes. So I've got 1 hole right in the middle, and then the 2 other holes are at the top and bottom, about 1.5 centimetres away from the edge, from the top edge and the bottom edge. Just make sure that the holes has come all the way through. You can always push the dowel back through again just to make the hole a little bit bigger. And then I use book thread, because honestly it's the best string to use. Some threads I've tried embroidery thread. That tends to break when you pull tightly on the stitch. So I tend to stick with the bookbinding thread. It's got a waxed surface as well, which makes it a little bit easier to pull through the holes as well. So and it's really tough. So I just use a darning needle. You can actually buy bookmaking needles as well, which I think are probably even tougher than these. But I find the darning needles are plenty just for, single stitch, especially single stitch journal bindings like this. So I'm going to start by pushing through the middle hole of the journal, and I'm going to leave, it's a bit tough to get through, but you leave a little tail on the inside, so don't pull it all the way through, leave a tail and just hold it down with your thumb, while you then go back from the outside inwards, round the bottom or top hole, doesn't matter really which one, pull that through, and then you're going to go all the way up, and you can just pull that a little bit, pull that tie through, and then go all the way up to the top hole and stitch right through from the inside to the outside, and then you're going to come back through the middle hole again, the same way you started from. So you're ending up where you started basically. So coming through there, you can actually use your mat to press down if the needle's a bit hard to get through, and then pull that through, and then you can actually take the needle off, and then make sure that each of the threads is on either side of the center big stitch, and then give it a really good tough pull. You're not going to tear the paper, and just make sure that stitch or that thread there is nice and taut before you make the knot. And I just make a quick reef knot and maybe one extra for good luck. There we go. And then you can actually just you can cut the threads back right down quite short, or if you wanted to leave little tails hanging, you can, and you can add a little tab on the end, and I'll show you one that I did that for, but this one I'm just going to cut short, and then you'll just see the little short, which is fine. And then that is your stitched journal, and you can see that looks nice on the edge, and that's not going to come apart. So these are the journals that I've made. I've made 4 with the wallpaper covers, and then the other 5 ones I've just made with some thick handmade like card or paper, and I've just stuck on these labels, and I use these little clips as like a book clip and to hold the book closed, which I thought was quite nice. And I've got a few of those, some vintage antique ones that look nice. These vintage labels look really nice with the sort of craft paper. And this is the tabs that I said. I left these little threads hanging down and added those little tabs to them. I think I did it with this one as well. So again, I just used the same colour paper as the inside, just to sort of tie it all together. I think I added some green ones to this one. And I also used the green embroidery thread on this one, which looked really nice and went with the green cover. So there are all my little notebooks. I'm going to be using those for Helen's Journal with Purpose monthly challenges. to do my drawings and paintings in. So really pleased with them. I hope you enjoyed my little make with me today. Take care.